For decades, Medina stood as the ultimate sanctuary. As the city of the Prophet, it was the spiritual anchor of the early Islamic world, a place defined by its serenity and its living connection to the founders of the faith. That peace shattered when news from Karbala arrived. Hussein, the Prophet's own grandson, had been killed, and his severed head was paraded on a spear from Kufa all the way to Damascus. The elders of Medina simply couldn't comprehend that the caliph would authorize such an act. Hoping there was some mistake, they dispatched a delegation of their most prominent leaders to Damascus to investigate Yazid ibn Muawiyah themselves. When the delegation returned, their report horrified the city. Sunni historians like al-Tabari and Ibn Kathir record their exact words. They testified that the caliph was a man without religion, one who drank alcohol openly, played lutes, and entertained himself with monkeys and dogs. The reaction was explosive. Inside the Prophet's mosque, the men of Medina began to publicly renounce their allegiance to Yazid. One by one, they threw their turbans and shoes to the floor, shouting that they were casting off the caliph just as they cast off their garments. They immediately expelled Yazid's governor and every member of the Umayyad family living in Medina. In their place, they appointed Abdullah bin Hanzala to lead the city's defense. By excommunicating the caliph on moral and religious grounds, Medina crossed a red line. Damascus would not let a direct challenge to its legitimacy stand, making a brutal military retaliation inevitable. Yazid mobilized a massive force of 12,000 Syrian troops. To lead them, he chose Muslim ibn Uqbah, a commander so notoriously ruthless that history later renamed him Musrif, the extravagant shedder of blood. Yazid gave his commander a chilling set of instructions, preserved by Ibn Kathir. He ordered the army to offer Medina 3 days to surrender. If they refused, the army would breach the city, sack it completely for 3 days, and give everything to the soldiers. The people of Medina dug a defensive trench in an eastern Raqi area called al-Harrah. They fought fiercely, but the sheer size of the Syrian army, combined with the betrayal of local tribes from within, caused their defensive lines to collapse. Commander Hanzala fell in battle alongside his 7 sons. By the time the fighting stopped, roughly 700 men, including some of the last surviving companions of the Prophet and memorizers of the Quran, had been slaughtered. Once the gates fell, the true nightmare began. Muslim ibn Uqbah executed Yazid's order. For 3 full days, soldiers raided homes, committing atrocities so severe that classical Sunni historians struggled to write them down, noting simply that no virgin in the city was spared. The physical devastation was compounded by a lasting trauma. Months after the siege, over 1,000 fatherless children were born in Medina, forever bearing the stigmatized title, the Children of al-Harrah. Weaponizing sexual violence is a recurring pattern in siege warfare. This mirrors modern conflicts. When Jelani's forces entered Sueda, a commander threatened residents, "We will see you in 9 months." Back in the 7th century, the Umayyad forces pushed their desecration even further. They rode their cavalry directly into the Prophet's mosque. Blood reached the Prophet's grave, and for 3 continuous days, the call to prayer was silenced. The Umayyad army showed that when imperial power was threatened, no religious symbol or sanctuary was safe from the wrath of the state. When the 3 days of pillaging finally ended, thick black smoke covered the sky above Medina. The streets were left littered with the bodies of the early Muslims and their families. The victorious commander, Muslim ibn Uqbah, set up a throne in the ruins. He ordered every survivor, including the children of the Prophet's companions, to line up and swear an oath that effectively erased their personhood. He forced each person to repeat a humiliating formula. They had to swear they were abd kin, an absolutely owned slave to Yazid. This granted the caliph the right to sell them or manumit them at his personal whim. Any attempt to negotiate the terms was fatal. Survivors who tried to offer a traditional pledge, swearing loyalty on the Quran and the Sunnah, were immediately executed on the spot. The massacre at al-Harrah achieved exactly what Damascus intended. By violating its sanctuaries and enslaving the survivors, the Umayyad political machine proved it would obliterate any religious ideal that stood in the way of its absolute power. Intoxicated by his victory, Muslim ibn Uqbah rallied his army. he turned his siege engines south, marching toward an even holier target to settle a final score, the city of Mecca.